Marketing in Google Ads is not the piece of cake online gurus make it out to be. There is a lot that goes into a PPC campaign, and in this video we are going to go over how to choose a good PPC agency, the 4 pillars of PPC, and how to comfortably predict price on your campaign and what the agency might charge you before you even go into the meeting. Okay, let's start with the first one, which is how to choose a good PPC agency. PPC agencies are big on data, all right? They rely on this. So any established PPC agency will have a heavy emphasis on data and industry reports. Keywords are a huge part of PPC, but having a company that has a history of what has worked for that niche and what hasn't can really be the difference between a pretty profitable campaign and a very profitable campaign. You can get a pretty good idea of the competition within your niche if you go over to the keyword planner for Google. It's built in, it's free, anyone can use it, and type in your industry's keywords. And you can see how much a lower bid for this post will be and how much a top of the page bid will be. And that'll give you generally a good idea of the competition with that keyword and how many people are currently trying to do exactly what you're trying to do. So what are the 4 pillars of PPC? Well, to start, we must understand how important keywords are in a PPC campaign. When you're doing a PPC campaign, you want keywords that will typically convert, all right? So keywords that are great at doing this specific task are long tail keywords. The reason being is less people really search for long tail keywords, so the people that do, they have a much higher conversion rate. And therefore you're spending less of waste money on ad spend because the click-through rate is much better and people are overall liking your ad a lot better when you're using longer tail keywords because it's much more specific to your ideal customer. PPC typically isn't about the number of clicks you bring a company, it's about the number of conversions you bring them, so that's why long tail keywords are typically the best for this. Now, number 2 is industry/niche. Now, this section is going to be a little longer, but it's important because if you're gonna sell your PPC services, you wanna make sure you sell it to the right people. All right, so any good PPC agency knows that every industry is different, obviously, but some industries have high ticket items, but low conversion rates due to the demand for the product, and it's harder to find your ideal customer. So like an industry, for instance, for this would be like apartment bathtub installers, right? It's such a unique thing that not a lot of people are really going out of the way to look for apartment bathtub installers. So marketing this product would be a little harder. So this is an industry that I define as an 11 out of 10 in effort and an 8 out of 10 in the rewards. High effort, somewhat high reward, but it's gonna be a much harder client to service than what's coming up. So although it is a high ticket item you're selling, by the time you finally find one of the customers, your ROAS isn't looking the best, and ROAS is return on ad spend. So other industries have low ticket items but high conversion rates, and it's very easy to find ideal customers. So think of like a restaurant, something like that, like a restaurant, is they're bringing in tons of customers to the door, but the likelihood that a customer is going to be a lifetime customer there is like they might come back once or twice if they really like the place, maybe 3 times. But overall, it's not really a high ticket sale for yourself or the business. So you're gonna need to have a lot more volume to really make it worth their time. So how do we choose really an attractive industry? Because the niche I just talked about earlier, it's like a 1 out of 10 in difficulty, where it's super easy. Pretty much anyone can market a restaurant really easily if they have somewhat decent food. But the reward for marketing a restaurant is like a 2 out of 10 because you're bringing in low ticket customers and there's not really much upside for you or the company. So this is what I like to call the Goldilocks effect. So this industry is right in the middle. It's the cream of the cream, all right? So you typically want people like dentists, law firms, plastic surgeons. These are people that can handle clients, but their industry isn't super niche like apartment bathtub installers, right? So the average procedure for a plastic surgeon, say for like a facelift, for instance, it's like $8,000, all right? So this will all make sense later because we're gonna go over pricing, but essentially, if you have a client whose average ticket or average customer is worth $8,000 and they have a $3,000 ad spend, all you would really need to do to look like a rock star PPC agency is bring them in 2 to 3 customers a month and you've like quadrupled their ad spend. Like, it's insane. So this is the Goldilocks zone, is you want to find industries where there's high profit capability and high scale capability, because both of these are very important when you're starting a PPC agency and you're looking to grow it. You don't want to just forever be stuck in some very low upside niche. You want to be smart about this. So like the industry I was talking about, the Goldilocks effect, it would be like a 4 out of 10 on difficulty, how hard it is to actually perform the task of bringing in more clients, and then a 9 out of 10 on the award. So not too hard, not too easy, but very rewarding once you bring in those clients. This is the niche that you want to try to find for yourself. Now, these last 2 pillars really won't take that long to go over, but essentially number 3 is past campaigns. You want to find an agency that asks you about past campaigns, because if they're not asking you about past campaigns, they're pretty dumb, because past data is very important. When you get a prospect, you want to ask if they have any previous data on campaigns. They can share, and you'll have a much better understanding of what they've tried in the past and what hasn't worked, so what you can try to save them extra money and time. For future campaigns, all right, any good PPC agency, they know that this is a long-term partnership. You don't want to do just like a 1 to 2 month thing where you bring them in like 40 leads, they get overrun and they can't even service all the leads, and you ultimately screw them and they have a couple more customers. Like, that's not what you want to do. You want to prepare for the long term. So this is why you see a lot of agencies have like done for you systems. So pretty much all the business owner has to do is they just pick up the phone and pretty much accept the client. They don't have to go through a bunch of textings or all the different crap you have to do, all right? So my advice, if you want to retain clients, make their job as easy as possible. Literally make them think their PPC, their marketing side is completely taken care of, and all they have to do is look at a monthly report. That should be their main job, is looking at a monthly report and seeing revenue coming in and your ad spend, your ROAS, all that. That's what you want to show them. You want to be transparent. This is how you retain clients for a long time. People appreciate transparency. People appreciate just being genuine, all right? The more genuine you are, the longer you'll retain clients. Now, this last section, it's gonna be about price. Everyone always wants to know like how much will a PPC campaign cost me, because they're pretty attractive and you can bring people a bunch of leads pretty quickly. So there's typically 2 main agency types that I've seen work for like the PPC model. And so for agency number 1, you have the flat fee company. So pretty much for smaller companies, this is really what they do, because you can't really do a pay on results for smaller companies because there's not as much upside for you. So what you do is you do a flat fee. So say for instance, it could be like a $1,500 a month management fee and a $3,000 ad spend, which could mean your break even would be like $4,500, right? And so your goal would be to bring in 2 to 3x the revenue on the ad spend. If they're spending $4,500 a month on you and the PPC campaign, they're gonna expect about $15,000 a month in revenue. That's kind of the industry standard, is 2 to 3 times. And if you can really do that for every client, just do a 2 to 3x, you will stay around for a long time. So now that we know the 2 to 3x kind of model for PPC, and that's kind of what people expect, this is why I mentioned the Goldilocks zone earlier for like industry niches, because this is super important. If you're expecting a 2 to 3x return on ad spend, doing restaurants, you're gonna need to bring in like 20,000 people a month to really make it worth their time. So that's what I was saying. You see so much competition for like lawyers, dentistries, and plastic surgeons, because they really are the Goldilocks zone of PPC clients. You bring in like 2 to 3 clients a month and you look a rock star. You just quadrupled their revenue, all right? And this is why this model is so attractive. Now, if we go over to the second agency model I've seen, which is the fee plus pay on results, this really depends on the company. Now, not all companies are gonna like it, but the ones that do it like it a lot, because you're more incentivized to bring them more money because you're also having skin in the game. So this model is typically meant for companies that are spending like $50,000 a month in ad spend. Anything really below that, you might just be better off sticking a fee on them instead of a pay on results. But here's the deal. So now, since you're dealing with bigger numbers, bigger clients, here's what you really want to do and how you can structure your offer. So you have your initial maintenance fee of $2,000 to $3,000 a month. What have you done in the past, and does that make sense for your current fee? That's kind of how you have to structure it. So after your client hits their 3x revenue goal, in the contract, you would say that you would get 6% of the revenue after that. So for a $50,000 ad spend, they would be, after $150,000, you'd get 6% of all the revenue they're making. And so you can see how this would scale your agency company, all right? So if you had like 10 clients that were on a fee plus pay on results, there's a lot of scalability there if you do a really good job. And that's why this model is so attractive, and that's why you see so many people rushing to the SMA scene, because it's really not that hard to get these kind of results, but a lot of it comes down to picking your niche and industry, which is what a lot of people don't realize, because again, I've said this like 10 times. you can have the easiest industry in the world, but if their customer values like $70 per customer, it's gonna take you bringing in like shitloads of customers a month to really make it worth that company's time. And you can do it, but there is an easier way. I appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end of this video. If you like it, make sure you hit the like button. If you want to subscribe and watch more of my videos, subscribe, stay around, and I'll see you guys in the next video.